James Dobson is dead, and I wish I still believed in hell. For those of us who grew up in evangelical land in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and whenever, James Dobson was probably a factor in a lot of your parents' worst parenting decisions. He was the guy behind Focus on the Family. Now, I'll be honest, I was really hoping that Google would be helpful when I Googled things like the 10 worst things James Dobson has ever said. But these days, Google is about as helpful as my ex who dumped me because I explained what a big word meant to him in front of other people. I'll be honest and say that when I was a kid and my mom would listen to AM 1250 and they'd have a segment from Focus on the Family, it always sounded like generic evangelical Christian subculture stuff. And I'd been marinated in it my whole life, so I never really registered how harmful any of it was. He didn't seem any worse or any better than any of the other random old man preachers that I'd heard, but I had no idea how influential this guy was. As an adult, I know the man was a monster who viewed children as the enemy and taught parents that their relationships with their kids needed to be combatant. Dobson encouraged the use of corporal punishment on children, suggesting crazy things like if a child cried for a while after being spanked, the solution was more spanking. He used the teachings of Jesus, which, though I'm no longer a Christian, I still see as radically anti-narcissistic, especially for the time. And he twisted those words with such a wicked perversion that people who listened to him could read nearly any passage of the Bible and somehow believe that it said the exact opposite of what was clearly intended if you actually learn anything about the Bible's original historical and cultural context. Moreover, when I was in college, I started to realize that this whole other guys looking real good when they walked around dorm shirtless thing was not going to go away. And the more that I read up on a lot of things, the more I realized that this lying piece of shit was a huge driver behind the ex-gay movement. Shocking that someone who enjoyed teaching parents that children should be beaten also promoted psychological torture of gays. It's worth noting that Christians, at least back in the day, were really concerned about the truth. Growing up, if you found out that your pastor was lying about just about anything, that was not okay. Everyone was expected to tell the truth because God was truth and in him there was no lie. Dobson would have known with abundant knowledge that the ex-gay movement didn't work. Even if he didn't understand that his parenting strategies would turn kids against their parents and cause more strife, thus, causing the parents to retreat into his awful teachings, which were causing their problem. Though I honestly imagine that at some point he did that and he just knew that that would help him sell more books. Who cared how many kids got beaten? But it was even more clear that the ex-gay movement didn't work. Nothing that they claimed was true, and they had to keep bringing in new faces because eventually everyone that they brought in realized that it was all a load of crap, and every single one of them, including like the people who founded Exodus International, would end up realizing that they were lying to themselves and everyone else was lying to themselves. Yet Dobson collected and directed so much money into propping up the ex-gay movement, something they knew resulted in kids being harmed in really, really bad ways. That's all I can say on TikTok. A movement that directly and indirectly claimed the lives of countless LGBT youth and adults.